Good afternoon. This class is on Operation Sunbeam. And Sunbeam is such a fantastic mission, and there's so much that we can talk about Sunbeam that it was a real difficult task to decide what not to include. Because I always take the opportunity before these classes to do a lot of extra study myself. And it's so amazing and so inspiring and so expansive, the history of Operation Sunbeam, that I probably tried to squeeze too much into this introductory class, but I'll do my best. And if I'm going too fast, please stop me and say, what are you talking about? And they'll let me know. But let's get right into it. And these are the questions which I've passed out, which I hope to answer. What is the overall purpose of cosmic missions? How does Operation Sunbeam differ from most other cosmic missions? What is the basic concept of Operation Sunbeam? Why did the Gotha Masters decide to help? What aspect of Operation Sunbeam do the Gotha Masters perform? Why were so many inhabited worlds in our galaxy inspired by Operation Sunbeam, and how did they learn of this mission? Why is equipment used in Operation Sunbeam? And finally, what can I learn, or what can we all learn from Operation Sunbeam? So if anyone knows all those answers, you can probably just leave or come up and help me out, give the class. But otherwise, let's see if we can explore some of these things. So we'll start with the background behind Operation Sunbeam and the theory of Operation Sunbeam. This, by the way, is a photograph of one of the Master's missions boat, Starfire. And this is in, I believe it's Kings Canyon in Lake Powell, where we continue to do Operation Sunbeam. In fact, we do some of the Saturn missions in this area as well, for it is the psychic center of the Mother Earth. Now first, cosmic missions, what are they? Now cosmic missions in our Master's definition really are missions that are either designed by or have an integral part of them performed or helped by the cosmic Masters. And that would include Operation Starlight, Operation Blue Water, Operation Space Power, Operation Prayer Power. Although Operation Prayer Power was designed by a Master and done mainly by mankind, it is still a tremendous amount of help being given to Operation Prayer Power by the Cosmic Masters. So that's kind of a definition, or our definition of a cosmic mission. And the reason that we have cosmic missions these days is in order to move mankind as a whole towards enlightenment, or speed mankind up in our evolution. That's the purpose of cosmic missions, to kind of get us moving forward at a quicker rate than we would otherwise. And the reason for so many cosmic missions being performed in these days is because of the primary initiation of the Mother Earth. And that's kind of put a limit on how long mankind can stay on Earth below a certain vibration. Once the Mother Earth raises her vibrations or uses the energy that have been given to her on July 8th, 1964, and raises her own vibrations, then a good portion of mankind, certainly at a current vibration rate, would not be allowed or able to stay on Earth. And we would all continue our evolution, but we have to move to another planet. And it would drastically slow down our evolution and make it that much more difficult. And so this is why the Cosmic Masters are doing everything that they can to speed up the evolution of mankind in these days prior to the Mother Earth using the energy that she has received. Some cosmic missions are more straightforward than others. This one here is a picture of our Master on Mount Talek, with Tahoe in the background there. And this illustrates Operation Starlight. And that's fairly straightforward. The Cosmic Masters gave to Earth 19 holy mountains, or batteries, that we can use to take the energy from them and send them out to our brothers and sisters, helping ourselves evolve and all those who receive the energy from these mountains evolve. And this energy is not just a blanket energy that you can use for anything, it's a spiritual energy. It can only be used for spiritual purposes. Likewise, satellite number 3 comes in orbit at least 4 times a year, and they send energy to mankind to augment any spiritual action that we perform, or any action in service to help others that we perform. So these 2 missions are pretty straightforward. They help us do good things, which then push us through our evolution, through our karma, quicker. This is a beautiful picture, this one. This is a picture of a rainbow going right into Loch Ness, Psychic Center up in the north of Scotland, which is also used in Operation Sunbeam and the Saturn mission. Sunbeam is more subtle, because rather than receiving energy from mankind, energy is given to the Mother Earth. And so it's not as straightforward as to how it helps mankind through our evolution. And to understand how it does this, we got to understand karma a little bit more. And karma, the more you read our master's teachings or the cosmic teachings, they very often speak about karma. Many transmissions speak about karma. And there's so much in the theory of karma that we just don't really, we haven't really been taught through the centuries. So we need to go a little bit further into karma. And this is a picture, by the way, of, I believe it's Titan, one of the moons of Saturn, being seen through the rings of Saturn. Now the concept that is very prevalent on Earth about karma is action and reaction are opposite and equal. As you sow, so shall you reap. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. So that's kind of the common understanding of karma. But it's interesting to realize that timing does vary. This reaction doesn't happen instantaneously. It might take a year, 10 years, a life, 10 lives. Okay? So it's action and reaction are opposite and equal, but the timing does vary. Keep that in mind. Now our master gave a brilliant description of karma, and he called it pressure towards conformity. And of course conformity means oneness, because the whole universe is one. The absolute is one. And so you can think of karma as being this great pressure moving all of us and everything in the universe back to a conscious awareness or conscious oneness with this great absolute. And that's a little bit of a different slant on it than action and reaction being opposite and equal. It's a bit more, it's a bit all-pervasive. And it's more like, think of it more as a force, as a pressure, as an energy. Another thing that isn't often spoken about is that the karma isn't just for the individual. There's also karma for a family. There'll be karma, a karmic pattern, a karmic pressure for a group. There'll be karmic pressure or a karmic pattern for a country. And for an entire race, for all of humanity, have a karmic pattern. And there is a compassionate pole to karma. This too is something that you can find in our cosmic teachings. There's a compassionate side to karma. We'll listen to a transmission in a few minutes where the Gotha Masters talk about a pre-designed and predestined karmic pattern. Pre-designed by someone and predestined from somewhere. But the idea is that these are from two different sources, pre-designed, predestined. And so if you look at karma as having a compassionate pole, and you think again about that time lag between getting that reaction from your action, we learn that the cosmic masters, or the lords of karma, shall we say, allow for more evolved beings to try and help less evolved beings learn their lesson before the full impact from this reaction. And so if you do something wrong, something moving away from oneness with God, right, so which you could think of as negative karma, then you would demand to have this reaction to teach you that that's the wrong direction. But if before you get this reaction, if some other way, through meditation or through a teaching, you get it another way, then the pressure of karma will be balanced, so you will not have to get that otherwise necessary reaction. Do you see that? So you have the cosmic masters are allowed to help us. And one way you can look at this is they're kind of giving us loans. They're giving us spiritual energy loans. You know, we aren't necessarily deserving of these loans, but they're giving us loans so that we can use this energy to learn our lessons before the otherwise necessary pressure of karma on our action. And let's look at an analogy that in this respect. If you have an individual who is eking out a living in a third world country, and he's got a plot of land that's not very good. There's no water in the land. It's an arid area. The closest water is like a half a mile away, and he's just having a hard time keeping his family fed, and they're miserable. They're suffering. They spend all their time trying to get food, and they just aren't getting anywhere. But if somebody gives them a small loan, maybe a few $100s, he might be able to buy himself a foot pump, and they actually do this. You can buy an inexpensive water foot pump and put it down by the stream, and he can irrigate his land for a few $100s. And once he does this from this loan, he's then able to feed his family, go through much better experience learning, and pay back his loan. So you with that analogy? So that's a good thing. He pays back his loan, but he learns a lot. Now imagine if he receives this money, buys his pump, irrigates his land, has lots of food, more than he had before, feeds his family very well, and then he's still got extra food, and rather than sell it to buy goodies, let's say, maybe he gives it away to all those other people around who are starving. Now, if you were the person that gave the $200 or $300, you'd be saying, oh, this guy's really getting it. He's really learning what this is all about. And you would be you'd be very, very happy to give him some more money, to help him out some more. Because he took that money that you loaned him, and he did really, really good things with it. So think of Operation Sunbeam in that way. The Cosmic Masters are giving us spiritual energy as a loan, virtually, through the mountains, through satellite number 3, etc., so that we can use this energy for ourselves, to evolve ourselves. That's the reason why this energy is being given to us. But we say, well, no, let's take some of that and give it to the Mother Earth. Let's deprive ourselves from some of this energy and give it to this great goddess who has given us so much for so long. The Cosmic Masters say, oh, that's a pretty good thing. That's a good thing. Sunbeam is showing that mankind is learning his spiritual lessons. And because this energy was meant for mankind, and since elements of mankind are taking that energy and giving to the Mother Earth, then we are helping, we're showing that all mankind is getting it. May not be entirely true at this second in time, but as we are part of all mankind, this is another entity, mankind, and we are part of it, that mankind. We are showing that mankind is starting to get it. So that's really how Operation Sunbeam is helping mankind evolve in a much more subtle way than the other cosmic missions. Now, I did some study on the start of Operation Sunbeam, and it's staggering. It's just unbelievable what was done in a very short, busy period of time. And Jim Butcher was there, and he'll remember very well, I'm sure. But it's staggering what happened. Starlight was very important because that was the energy source, so I put that down here, 1958 to 1961. Operation Blue Water took place just a couple years before, and that really was important, especially because the Cosmic Masters asked our master, Dr. King, to devise a machine and an MO to send energy or transmit energy that they would be sending into the Mother Earth, into a psychic center of the Mother Earth. And so really Sunbeam was a combination of these two missions. And then July 8, 1964, the primary initiation of Earth. And of course that is the real key in everything. That's the central cog in all the things that are taking place on Earth today, especially because of the Cosmic Masters or what they are doing. Now, around that same time, May 65 through January 66, the alien mission took place. There was a massive war that took place in the lower astral realms. Our master was intimately connected with that. And then right after that came the Gotha mission. And that took place from March 66 to March 67. And then on top of all these metaphysical happenings, it was right in 1965 that our master and his very small group of staff members and members moved into these premises with a tremendous amount of work to do. All this was taking place at the time when Operation Sunbeam was invented or started. Busy time. Now let's listen to our first transmission extract. This was given a little bit later that same year, December 1966, by the Master Aetherius, and it gives a description of the situation on Earth at that time and why it was necessary for Operation Sunbeam.
And the overall condition of the karma of mankind upon Terra has led up to an extremely dangerous situation. You are adult enough to know the truth, so therefore I am informing you of the correct situation which prevails today. It was taking all these things into a consideration that we engineered certain operations. Operation Starlight, Operation Blue Water, to mention just two for the time being. In both of these operations, energy was released from one of our vehicles. In the first operation, namely starlight, this energy was put into batteries so that you could use this energy for the benefit of mankind. In the second operation, the energy, that is, was given straight into a psychic center of the earth as an entity. Your leader, being a metaphysician of renown, was able to foresee the future of mankind, and a nightmare vision it was too. So therefore he designed Operation Sunbeam, so that at least some small token of the regard of a few individuals could be shown to she who, in divine patience, had put up with the erring humans.
So that explains, I think, why Dr. King invented Operation Sunbeam. And it tells a little bit, too, about why the Cosmic Masters were giving energy, because our karma was in a bit of a mess. But even with these cosmic missions coming, our Master, looking into time, could see that we were still in a mess and more needed to be done. And so he came up with Operation Sunbeam. I'd like to read from Newsletter Volume 5, Issue 10 through 12. And this was virtually the announcement by our Master to the Aetherius Society of the mission Operation Sunbeam. As you know, during Operation Starlight, great batteries of energy were charged throughout the world. This energy can be activated by any man, woman, or child who goes onto the holy mountains saying prayers for the world as a whole. Some of you have done this yourself dozens of times. Some of you have felt the power radiating from the palms of your uplifted hands to the world, and you have thrilled to this great surge of energy, this output of vibrant power. Now, to follow the reasoning, this earth is a living, breathing being. This all-thinking people must realize. The Cosmic Masters have told you through the Aetherius Society this significant fact over and over again. All living intelligent beings must have subtle bodies as well as physical structures. In those subtle bodies are psychic centers, rather similar to the psychic centers in the body of man. During Operation Blue Water, the Cosmic Masters, through our radionic instrument, put energy from satellite number 3 directly into one psychic center of Earth. Why cannot we do something similar? My proposal is that we can and should do this. I worked out the following mission for this purpose. And that was his introduction to the Aetherius Society of Operation Sunbeam. So the concept again is energy meant for mankind, and this is Holston down with a number of pilgrims there sending energy out to the world. So energy meant for mankind in the holy mountains is given to the Mother Earth. This is a picture of one of the phases of Operation Blue Water. And you can see the radionic equipment here. It's a three-sided pyramid with a some coils inside, pulling the energy down from satellite number 3. And there's Al Young, who's operating the float. And you can just make out the float, the lower right, kind of a little orange object. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's the float. So the energy is coming down from satellite number 3, being conditioned and pushed through the float down into the psychic center of the Mother Earth. So energy from, but in Operation Sunbeam, the difference will be energy meant for mankind, taken from mankind and given to the Mother Earth. Now, once this idea was aired, things moved extraordinarily fast for the first phase of Operation Sunbeam. Our master thought of it April 66, announced it May 1st, 66. It was accepted by the Master Aetherius into the cosmic plan, but even before one phase had been performed on May 22nd, 1966, and the first batteries charged on September 24th and discharged on September 30th. Now, please understand that one thing that isn't obvious in these words here is that Dr. King had to invent the equipment, engineer the equipment, have the equipment built, and have the equipment tested. This is all brand new science with a very small team. I think it was mainly built by Charles and Al, I believe, the equipment. 2 people mainly. All this was done in a few months. On top of which, don't forget, our master was very intently involved in the Gotha mission. This took place around, I think, phase 5 and phase 6 of the Gotha mission. Unbelievable. On top of all that, a church is being run with Sunday services and Monday night services, classes, etc., etc., etc. He invented more than 24 hours in a day, I think. It was just unbelievable. And then on top of that, within 2 weeks of the first phase, 2 masters from Gotha came to Earth to help in Operation Sunbeam. And that's interesting because, don't forget, Gotha was under a very serious siege. Their entire solar system was under siege at the time. And yet they found time and were able to send 2 people to Earth to help Operation Sunbeam. And then by December of that same year, 1966, by December of 1966, the Gotha Masters also found time, despite being under siege, to spread the news, because they were flabbergasted. They were so impressed with Operation Sunbeam that they told as many worlds as they could in the galaxy while they were under siege. And so by December 66, we hear that hundreds of worlds were so inspired by Operation Sunbeam that they were trying to start their own form of Operation Sunbeam. And the Gotha Masters made application to go to each and every one of these worlds to help their concept of Operation Sunbeam. All this within, 8 months of the beginning of the idea in our master's mind in April. Staggering, just staggering. And just a brief explanation of how it is that these other worlds were inspired is that they probably tended to be a little bit more evolved, but around about the same level as mankind. And so they, like the more forward-thinking people on Earth, realized that the Earth realized that their planet was a divine being, and they would send their planet energy, much like we do in the 12 blessings, sending prayers and thanks and energy. But anything more, they didn't think that they were able to do justice to sending energy direct to the Mother Earth. But when they discovered, or they were told by the Gotha Masters, that this backward world on Earth was doing that, they said, well, if they can do it, we can do it. And so they started doing it. Just phenomenal history. Just unbelievable. Okay, now we'll get into how did our master do it. You heard a little bit about some of the potential problems with having mankind or humans charge up energy into a battery. And so fairly soon in his calculations, he realized that that really wasn't going to cut it, wasn't going to be able to work out that way. So the first phase, Dr. King took a battery up to the holy spot on Mount Baldy and charged the energy using energy from Mount Baldy mainly, but also using power from Saint Peter to charge his battery very quickly and very accurately. It was determined for lots of reasons, which I don't have time to go into and aren't particularly 100% clear anyway, but it was determined that that wasn't really going to be a sustainable karmic way of pushing Operation Sunbeam forward. And so fortunately, at that time, the Masters of Gotha came and they offered to take on whatever karma that they could, or they would be allowed to take on, so that Operation Sunbeam would be able to be done correctly, and then they would actually invoke the energy themselves from the mountain. So it's still energy meant for mankind, but they would actually put the energy into the battery. And so pretty much from that phase on, from phase 2 on, pretty much it was always done by the Gotha Masters, this energy invocation aspect. Energy delivery. Phase 1 through phase 52, which is kind of considered Plan A, or the original plan of Operation Sunbeam, energy which was invoked normally by the Masters from Gotha went into a battery, and this battery was then put on a spiritual energy radiator, taken over a psychic center of Earth, and pulsed down into the psychic center of Earth. So again, number one, just inventing a battery that would hold energy is quite an accomplishment. Then on top of that, he had to invent a mechanism that could pull the energy out of this battery, a far more difficult task. Pull the energy out of that battery and then give it enough pressure, enough force, and pulse it down through hundreds of fathoms of seawater into a psychic center of the Mother Earth. Not an easy task. Now let's listen to the Gotha Masters and find out a bit more about why they came to help.
We have decided to do what we possibly can for the karma of terror. We realize, of course, that our actions, unfortunately, will be extremely limited by a certain pre-designed and predestined karmic pattern leading to essential occurrence, but nevertheless we are prepared to go to the very limit of our suffering, if necessary, so that your karma may be balanced. I am not referring to the karma of the average individual, not indeed to any individual. I am referring to the karma which is creating a difficulty in the successful performance of your magnificent Operation Sunbeam. Our intelligences upon Earth will take upon themselves the karma so that this operation may be performed in a correct manner. We are doing this in honor of the three adepts and in honor of the individual you call a Mr. King, in honor of what he has done for our world, and in honor of those a few dedicated souls who were wise enough to see the true path to active righteousness and were courageous enough to travel this path. Because of the few, ladies and gentlemen, you all will benefit. Because of the few. Because of the few. Because of the few.
It's one of my favorite transmissions, that one. I love that. So the Gotha Masters, they, don't forget that October 15th, again, was right in the middle of the Gotha mission. There's the siege on their solar system. The three adepts were instrumental in saving that solar system. And so they were extremely indebted and extremely thankful and in awe of the spirituality of the three adepts. And they wanted to help them as much as they could. And they knew that to help them at this particular time, October 1966, the best way would be to help the karma of Earth. Because at that point in time was the adepts' main mission, was to help the karma of Earth. And so that was really the main reason why the Gotha Masters came to help Operation Sunbeam on Earth at that time. And don't forget, this was basically, 2 weeks after Phase 1 of Operation Sunbeam. And what's interesting to understand, think about here is you've got several layers of karmic manipulation going on. And this is the kind of thing that you want to think about. It's fascinating and very helpful. So you've got mankind, which is pretty messed up. You know, we did bad things, one of which, of course, was destroying a planet. So we got this kind of wave of karma kind of coming our way. And on top of that, you've got the current planet that we're on is basically being forced to raise her vibrations. And that's an interesting thing, too. You know, how many of us need to be forced to take an initiation? I don't think I'm going to be fighting an initiation. Here's Mother Earth saying she doesn't want this initiation because she knows when she takes it that it's going to hold up mankind. So we're in a difficult situation, mankind, and the cosmic masters know this, and so then they start doing these cosmic missions to try and hold up this reaction from karma. And so they're giving us lots and lots of energy, giving us loans of lots of spiritual energy so that we can develop ourselves. Right. That's good. It's helpful. Then you've got our master, seeing that more is necessary. He comes up with Operation Sunbeam that in a very subtle way enables the cosmic masters to do even more. Right? So he devised Sunbeam to take energy meant for mankind, give it to the Mother Earth. But because of such a potent karmic manipulation, it's very difficult to accomplish this mission. Then you have the Gotha masters come in. And they're able and willing to hold a little bit more of the karma. They're going to hold back some of the karma so that Sunbeam can be done correctly, so that the cosmic masters can do more for mankind. All multiple layers of karmic manipulation taking place just to get us evolved. Amazing. I think a lot of people have the question of why is physical equipment necessary? And it's a good question. You know, you on the one hand, you can just as easily say that you deprive mankind of energy if you send energy to the Mother Earth. So in other words, if you go up to Mount Baldy and spend 6 hours repeating the seventh blessing, what are you doing? Is it kind of a mini Operation Sunbeam? That's a good question. And so it's important to really understand why physical equipment is necessary and what is going on with this physical equipment. And to do that, I want to have a bit of an analogy. Let's say you've got husband and wife and an 8-year-old, or say an 8 or 10-year-old son, Billy. And Billy is watching TV with his parents, and he sees on the screen a third world country going through very severe drought and starvation. And it really affects him. He says, wow, that's terrible. And so he asks his mom, so listen, I'd like to give my allowance to help out people in this third world country. And his parents think that's really good. They're really impressed with old Billy. So they say, okay, they take the $8 and they put it in an envelope, ship it off to some aid organization that helps out a few people in this third world country. And that's very good. It's very helpful. It's very useful. It helps Billy, helps Billy's parents. It helps a few people in the third world country. It's very, very beneficial. But doesn't do very much for the karma of America, does it? But if you take, let's say the United States government, in this case, decide to give $50 million of tax money to this third world country to help with the problem over there, and they ship tons and tons and tons of rice or whatever to help the situation. Now that does a little bit more good, helps quite a few more people. It's more of a felt action, and because it was done using tax money, its benefits, even though maybe it's only decided by the Senate or whoever, maybe they were the ones who decided it, but because they decided it on behalf of the United States government, then the karma of the United States government is going to be improved, because we all virtually gave a significant amount of money to help this situation. And so in a somewhat similar way, Operation Sunbeam works. You can go up there, or dozens of people can go up to Mount Baldy and send energy to the Mother Earth, and it is a very good thing. It's very helpful to you. It's minutely helpful to the Mother Earth, not much, but minutely, and it helps the world because you're sending this energy on behalf of mankind, because you are a member of humanity. But in Operation Sunbeam, we take a significantly much larger, more powerful portion of this energy from the mountain, and we put it into a battery in phase A's case. And so it takes spiritual energy, a lot of spiritual energy, compressed into a battery, which then becomes cosmic energy. And then you make sure it finds its mark, and you go right over the psychic center and pulse it down into the Mother Earth. And so it's a way, way much more powerful way of giving thanks to the Mother Earth. So much so that it has this tremendous karmic effect on all mankind. And the only way that you can do that now is using physical equipment. Now perhaps sometime in the future, that may not be necessary if mankind gets to be much, much more evolved. But right now, that's the only way that we can do this significant manipulation. Now, Operation Sunbeam Plan B, and there's no way I can go into Plan B, but Plan B basically changes the energy delivery system. Okay, we still have the energy coming from the mountains, mainly, but rather than being put into a battery and taken over a psychic center, it's being done remotely. You kind of saw how energy was going remotely from Holson down into the battery in Los Angeles, yes? Well, in Plan B, Dr. King extended that remote system, if you think of it that way. So in Plan B, the Gotha Masters, they get the energy from the mountains beforehand, and then they put energy through equipment that is set up and is linked to a psychic center of the Mother Earth. And so it's a very, very different energy delivery system. And that was necessary because Dr. King was informed of an entity named questing, which is way outside of what I can talk about today. It'll have to be in our next lecture on Sunbeam. Questing said it was important to do Operation Sunbeam in Britain. And so Dr. King tried to do that, but it was incredibly difficult because of the weather, especially up in Scotland. And so he realized that he had to take Operation Sunbeam to another level up, thus Plan B. Now, coming to the end here, the psychic centers used in the original system, Plan A, we'll call it, shall we, was mainly Goleta Point and Lake Powell, with an occasional use, I think once, of Dana Point and just a few times of Loch Ness prior to going into Plan B. Plan B, because the equipment had to be tuned to specific psychic centers, we only used two. That was Lake Powell and Loch Ness. And then Plan K, which I won't even begin to talk about, but it's very similar to Plan B, shall we say. But we were able to use 6 psychic centers, and that's what we are doing now. We use 6 psychic centers in Operation Sunbeam. It's Lake Powell, Loch Ness, Lake Tanganyika, the Arctic Circle, and Goleta Point and Dana Point. And I'll show you those centers best I can. This is a picture of Loch Ness, very long and narrow loch up in the north of Scotland, very, very deep as well. This is Lake Powell. Psychic center is kind of this area here. This is Lake Tanganyika in south central Africa, Tanzania. And you can see it's quite near Kilimanjaro right there, which is one of the 19 mountains, and also a very important center of the Great White Brotherhood. The Arctic, we do not know even vaguely where that psychic center is, other than it is in the Arctic Circle somewhere. This is Goleta Point. We know pretty exactly where that is. These are the coordinates. And you see, remember they mentioned that's 3 miles by 6 miles. And the usable portion is this upper half here, which is the receptive part. That part right there is the receptive part. This is Dana Point, down off the coast of Dana Point, Catalina. And here's kind of a composite. I thought it was kind of interesting. So you got the Goleta Point Center in the Santa Barbara Channel. There's Santa Barbara, where our master's house is, right there. You've got the Dana Point down here. It's Catalina. Where we are all sitting is right there, and Mount Baldy's right there. There's a lot going on in Southern California. Now, the known results of Operation Sunbeam, I'll just mention 2. Since we took energy that was given to us by the Cosmic Masters, gave it to the Mother Earth, we're showing that we're starting to get with the program. And so they are able to give us more energy. And one way that this manifested is, I think it was 1978-ish, Mars Sector 6 came through and told us that he was able to increase the length of the magnetization orbits by 21%, on a sliding scale up to 21%. And he reckoned that he would be able to extend it further in the future. So I don't have the figure, but you can imagine at least 25, maybe 30% more. So in other words, the magnetization orbit that we know about today is at least guaranteed 20%, possibly as much as 30% longer than we would have been able to have been helped without Operation Sunbeam. I might even just read that. This was November 19th, 1978, Mars Sector 6. One aspect of this importance of Operation Sunbeam, one aspect of this importance will now be given to you. Because of Operation Sunbeam, we have been able to extend the function of satellite number 3 around Terra on a sliding scale from 7.5% up to 21% longer, which it is at the moment. If you take this into consideration, you will see that not only did you attempt to give back to the life force of Terra some token repayment, but also because you did this in the way that it was done, this allowed satellite number 3 to be in orbit longer than terrestrial karma, unmanipulated, would allow it to be. So that's a tremendous, huge thing. And this other one, this was revealed to us by Adepnixie 0011, who's one of the Gotha masters, the newer Gotha masters. And this was revealed February 21st, 1995. Quote, without Operation Sunbeam, certain parts of the surface of this planet would be quite different. There would be more upheavals under the oceans, and the tectonic plates would tend to move much more rapidly than they do at the moment, thus causing tremendous upheavals. Operation Sunbeam is saving you from many catastrophes. And when upheavals do happen, the frequency of these are spread out over much longer periods of time. So those are just two of the results of Operation Sunbeam. But I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions. Very good question. Well, I think the more that people study our master, you realize that he's from a different place, a different time. He's not an earth man who just went through reincarnation. He's got a lot more knowledge from other experiences elsewhere, shall we say. And is also able to go into meditation, of course. So I think this is where the kind of concept would come from. As far as the equipment itself and how was he able to do it so quickly, he has said in the past that he's got the mental ability to visualize a piece of equipment on another realm, right? Which you can make things out of mind stuff on higher realms, and he picturized it and watched it run, watched it function, and then would make changes and modifications to that picturization until it was working the way he wanted it to work. Then he was able to explain this to Charles and Al to create it on the physical realm. That's the way he did it so quickly. It's been said many times that he was the only person who could have done Operation Sunbeam at that time. So it's an interesting question. There's a lot more to Dr. King than, if you listen to that, the Gotha Speaks to Earth, they say it very clearly that, the person talking to us from Gotha says that I know much more about Dr. King than any of you do. And there's a lot more to our master than even the closest people to him on earth know or knew. Not to him. Excellent question. You know, back in the mid '60s, there weren't very many members, and there were way fewer staff team members, and money was extremely tight. And I know that the staff who lived on the property here, they pooled all of their money. No one had any private money. They went out to work and they basically put all their money into a kitty. Okay, so that was one aspect. And then you had a few members who were extremely generous. One person I know financed the Nine Freedoms publication. Another person financed his house up in Santa Barbara. Another person financed buying the house, the fourth bungalow over here. So it was a combination of the few people putting all their money into it and a few members being extremely generous. It was a very good question. The Aetherius Society is very, very small, but what we're able to do, combination of doing things ourselves and not spending a lot of money and not paying ourselves very much, along with members who are just extraordinarily generous, allows us to do a lot more than you would expect from the number of people in the Aetherius Society. When you watch the movie, okay, in that situation, they would have been on the mountain sending energy into that little device that was linked to the SCI room that was here. Okay, so that was what took place then.
So the master would have been here then?
Our master.
Our master
Yes.
would have been here.
Yes.
Okay.
In these days, what they do is they collect the energy from either one mountain, all the mountains, or a combination thereof, or from one of the 4 planets I didn't even want to go into. They collect the energy first, then they come to wherever the equipment is set up and put the energy through that equipment, which is then linked to a different psychic center of the Mother Earth. That's what they do, best as we know. No, they are in they're in Earth replica bodies, the Gotha masters, but I'm not sure if we've ever been told exactly, but I think the impression that I have is that they're more akin to, say, Adepnixes 004 and 5, which would be more subtle bodies. Still physical, but not, you wouldn't bump into them on the street, sort of thing. And by the way, I never didn't say here, there's 3 masters from Gotha on Earth now. There was 2 back when I, in '66, but I think it was changed. I think in 1974 was when it changed to 3. Well, the best thing I could recommend is to listen to the cassette, Operation Sunbeam Inspires the Galaxy. And in that transmission, the Master Aetherius states that he gives an example that just like we look at the Master Jesus bringing people back from the dead, we look at him do that and we say, wow, that's really a great thing that the Master Jesus can do, because he's an angel. He's the Son of God. He's a cosmic master. He can do that. No way I can do that. And that's the way that other planets, a little bit more evolved than us, thought about something like Operation Sunbeam. Now, the Master Aetherius also said that, for example, all the other planets in our solar system do things similar to Operation Sunbeam and have been for thousands and thousands of years. But we're talking about other planets around the same level as Earth, you see? And so they wanted to, they would have liked to have done that, They did undoubtedly numerous rituals, like to the 12 blessings, to send love and energy and blessings and prayer to their logos. But they didn't think that they were capable or able to give a really powerful, tremendous amount of energy to the logos of Earth. And why our master figured it out, like I say, there's a lot more behind our master than we know. I believe the Earth has 49 major psychic centers, and probably a good portion of them are under land. Or certainly some of them are under land. And the master said that for his purposes in Operation Sunbeam, he couldn't use one under land, or it would be much more difficult to use, shall we say. Also, I didn't mention that he felt that it was important for a metaphysical organization to do work over the water. It gives it a very important balance, a metaphysical balance to that metaphysical organization. So for these reasons, he's always chosen to use psychic centers beneath water. Yeah. And he did say that in the case of Lake Powell, that was indeed fortunate. It did help that psychic center. In fact, one thing that I had forgotten in this research I rediscovered is that when he discovered the psychic center in Lake Powell, it was a semi-dormant psychic center. And that's one reason apparently why it was extraordinarily difficult for him to find that particular psychic center. Whereas he would say that if anyone were to go over the psychic center off the coast of Goleta Point, you're going to feel it. Whereas, at least in the beginning, Lake Powell, you would not feel it. Thank you all very much for coming.